Good morning, everyone. I am Carla, the Cosmic Crone, and I'm here to chat with you for a bit about Mars retrograde in Gemini, Dark Goddess Style. I did not talk much about Mars retrograde prior to October 30th, partly because there were full moons and eclipses and so many other things to talk about over in Scorpio. And also I was on retreat. So what I'm going to share with you today includes, and to be honest, I didn't have a handle on Mars retrograde in Gemini. I tend to talk directly to the planets, and I may also read some respected astrologers that show up in my inbox to get their take on it. And just now I Googled Mars retrograde because I was looking up a little fact and came up with the New York Post astrology. X's and sexes are coming your way during Mars retrograde. And it's like, okay, no, we won't do it that way. So Mars is retrograde. He is a planet that takes about 2 years to go around the sun and turns retrograde. Oh, I forget how often, but not that often. I think second only to Venus in the time. And someone is coming to speak with me. Hang on. Excuse me while somebody stops making noise here. Bye. He left his tools in the studio. My own personal Mars, my partner, he's been working on rebuilding my studio, and he's finished the exterior, and I understand next week I'm getting window trim. So the tools are here in the corner, and I guess he needed them for another job he's doing. All right, where was I? Let's start over. I am Carla Sanders, Cosmic Crone, and I want to chat with you about my good buddy Mars, who is retrograde in Gemini. Retrograde, personally, in my 8th house into my 7th house, which means he's going to have an impact on my relationship with that gentleman who just came in and got a tool. But I jump ahead of myself. So Mars is retrograde on October 30th at around 9:30 Eastern Time. He stopped and turned around. We call it stationing. And he was in the 26th degree of Gemini. Still is in the 26th degree of Gemini. He's moving very slowly at this point, and he will retrograde back all the way about halfway through Gemini until around 9 Gemini, I think. I looked it up, but I don't have it written down here. And he stations direct again on January 12th, 2023. So he knits together the changing of the year, the calendar year for us in this retrograde space. So as I was saying, I've been talking to Mars and saying, and watching Mars, one of the beautiful things is that we can watch this Mars retrograde in the sky. Right now, he's out above Orion and beyond to if you were looking at the sky, he's to the left of Taurus and Pleiades, if you're familiar with those constellations, and he will retrograde back until he connects with Aldebaran, the bright red star that is near, that is one of the horns of the bull. So that's fascinating. I love it when we can read our astrology in the sky. So meditating on Mars, if you take if you periodically look out and chart his backwards movement, you can just let his light come through your eyeballs and strike your pineal gland, your optic nerve, and channel. What is this planet saying to you? Mars is the planet of action, of libido, of drive, including sexual erotic drive, but also creative drive, warrior, which means he can accumulate and focus. A lot of times, especially with women, Mars comes on as rage. Mars comes on, he's when heads need to roll. He has a ferocity to him that we sometimes use to get motivated. Mars is motivation, decision, separating the bullshit from the truth. And Mars takes his instructions from our vision. So envision what you desire and envision the outcome you want. And if you've got a decision in front of you that you need to activate your inner Mars, first off, he's in retrograde, so consider what that might mean. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what came through for me in a moment. So it might be that the decisions you're considering now, it's about fact-finding and getting your head on straight and spending some time envisioning so that when Mars turns direct, you're ready to go with the decision that's right for you. Decisions require swords. You cut off other options when you make a decision, which is why so many of us have difficulty. It seems to be something final and like you're killing off the other options. Don't get me started on that. I was once married to a man who could not make decisions, didn't want to cut off his options. That's sort of... So Mars and Gemini, what does Mars and Gemini mean? Gemini is air. So Mars and air moves fast, intellectual. It's connected to mental strength, strategic, very much companion, not negotiating, but conferring with Pallas Athene among the dark goddesses. It's about communication, both the means of communication, electronics, and all the things that govern technology that Mercury governs, as well as language, conversation. Mars retrograde is spending time at the negotiating table rather than rushing off into battle. He's looking at both possibly making plans with the generals and also possibly negotiating the options to figure out, do we really need to fight a battle or which battles are worth fighting? So these are some things that you might feel over these next 3 months as Mars is moving retrograde and then back through Gemini. It'll be negotiating, evaluating, fact-finding, and then at some point after January 12th, moving forward. So, when we are looking at Mars, we also look at Mercury. So you would consider Mars and Gemini. Think about your own chart. Mars and Gemini. Where is Gemini in your chart? What houses? What other planets are aspected there? Or is Mars talking to in your natal chart? And think about where Mars is in your natal chart. will there be a conversation between Mars retro in Gemini and Mars in your natal chart? And also Mercury. Mercury is activated. He's on alert, messenger of the gods. Mercury is in Scorpio. He's just completed a retrograde that was in Libra and Virgo, and has completed a conjunction with the Sun, a conjunction with Venus, and a conjunction with Psyche. And Psyche is still at play in this Mars retrograde. So Mercury will be moving over the next couple of months into Sagittarius, where he will be opposite Mars on this retrograde and then direct journey. So once again, where's Mercury in your chart now, transiting, and where is your natal Mercury? So I've tuned into all of that, and it's pretty significant. Mars and Mercury are highly activated, along with Saturn, in my natal chart. So what does that tell you? It is about thinking, communication, the steps before decision making, and I encourage you to do some work around visioning, whatever that is for you, whether it's journaling, the classic vision board exercise, because I can just about guarantee that if you're looking at a situation in front of you and you are dooming and glooming and looking at the worst case scenario and worried and fretting and scared, and all you can see is what could go wrong or what it might cost you, then Mars will be happy to deliver. If you look at that situation and say, what is the desired outcome? What is the best possible way that I can move through this? What do I really want? What is to the highest good of myself and all the other people involved? What moves me forward? What moves this overall issue forward? What's good for the earth? What's good for everyone? Mars will say, my queen, send me into battle. It is done. So the warrior magician Mars can be when your vision is clearly activated with what you want. Mars, being the planet of libido, can also fire up and focus our desire. So desire and vision go hand in hand. The essence of Mars retrograde. Actually, I'm going to tell you something else about what's happening. I picked up the chart for 11:30 today, 3:11 at 11:30, playing with numbers here. And what I see, Mars is still in the degree of its retrograde. He has not yet speeded up and begun a real journey backwards across Gemini. He is in what we call a grand air trine. And think about this. A trine is a flow. There are 3 air signs that are ruled by the element of air in the chart. Gemini is one, Mars is there. Libra is the other, that's the domain of Venus. And the planet Psyche is at 2526. She's just completed at the full moon and the solar eclipse. She was, at the full moon in Libra, she was conjunct the sun. And then at the new moon in Scorpio, which was the eclipse, she was conjunct Mercury. So she's picked up the sun and Mercury energy, and also Venus. Her story has been really strong. I just sent an email last week to my newsletter talking about the myth of Psyche and what it teaches us as women, as human beings. So Psyche is in a flow to Mars, and Psyche represents that part of us, first of all, that we believe cannot heal. It's a wound that just keeps coming up. You know, we keep making the same mistakes over and over. So as you contemplate what's going on with Mars, this retrograde turning in a flow state, communicating smoothly with Psyche, evaluate Mars retrograde in light of what mistakes do you keep making? What fears keep popping up? What blocks keep popping up? And no matter how much you work to heal them or fix them or move beyond them, they keep coming up because they're part of your neurology. They're part of who you are. And so the other part of the Psyche story is that she is initiated. She integrates all these parts of herself that don't seem to work. And she becomes part of the household of the goddess Venus. She becomes divine herself. She matures. She blossoms. She finds her power. So this Mars retrograde in Gemini, as you're thinking about communication and how you wish you could do things differently than you have in the past because you'd like different results, Psyche is giving you a roadmap for that. So look up, first off, you can sign up for my newsletter and read, I'll make sure you get that article that I wrote, or you can Google it and see what Psyche has to offer you, what wisdom is there for you. And then both of these planets are also in a trine with another planet in an air sign, Vesta, the priestess. Now Vesta represents, she has kind of an outer aspect that represents being the priestess of our own life, how we relate to the unseen world, how we bridge the seen and the unseen world, the spiritual world and the world of the mundane, how we make things sacred in our lives. People who have, who are tuned to their own inner Vesta, understand the sacredness of life and the sacredness of their own lives, and honestly, the sacredness of everything that is happening in life, even the things that are hard, even the things that you don't know how to do or that frighten you or that trigger you, your problems, as well as the things that are going well. So Vesta is right now is at 2555. Aquarius, also an air sign, the air sign of the collective. Gemini, you could imagine, as being the individual. Libra being the duality, the couple, the two balancing aspects of possibly opposing or complementary aspects. And then Aquarius is the collective. It's your community, the people that you know, the people who directly are impacted by your life, your decisions, your desires. That they are there to help you, and they are there to look to you for what you have to offer as well. You are in relationship with the collective, and we can expand that beyond to the people we directly know, into the community, the people, you know, the earth, the people of like minds, people that we don't know that are impacted by our choices and our that we care about, whether we know them or not. We care that people are fed and that there is peace in the world, and that, you know, whatever we care about. So that's Aquarius. So the priestess is there. And so the priestess is looking, in her outward expression, she is connecting that Mars and that Psyche energy and communicating it and supporting the people to navigate whatever that stands for. Supporting the people to navigate the choices that we have to make. Something incredible that's coming to mind, something big, are choices around the environment, climate change, choices around who our lawmakers will be and what sort of values they have. These are things that are all coming up. And Election Day in the United States is in less than a week, and this trine that I'm describing will still be active. And then there's the inner Vesta, the Vesta that keeps the sacred erotic flame inside each of us, the life force, the sexuality, the creativity, all of that eros inside of us that is about love. We think of eros as being about love and sexuality. And in truth, it is all of that. And it is the fire in our soul, the fire of our creative. It's a thing that keeps us in this body and on this planet. And we are here to do something with that energy. We are not, there is a tendency to spill it, especially in a culture that does not understand sex, that has this kind of duality around sex that is taboo, forbidden, evil, wrong, bad, and get as much as you can, whatever it takes. You know, just really dysfunctional about the most animalistic, drive-oriented, non-spiritual, non-emotionally fulfilling aspects of this power within us. And so Mars retrograde is an opportunity to take that signature from Vesta and say, how can we change our experience of this sexual energy that runs through us? How can we change it personally? How can we heal it? How can we work with that healing energy of our sexuality? And how can we positively influence the people around us, the culture that we're in, expand people's thinking about what that sexuality really means? Because sexuality plays a big role in the Psyche story. She fell in love and she lost that love. She was brokenhearted, and then she regained the love. And sex was a big part of that, because the one she loved was Eros himself, Cupid, the one who shoots the arrows and makes us fall in love. So we have the three aspects of libido and sexuality in connection at the moment Mars turns retrograde. And that relationship will change because Psyche and Vesta are moving direct and Mars is moving backwards. So it's going to change, but it's still going to carry that energy. It means there are things we will have to work out as we figure it out, as we live through it, as our old wounds come up, as our resistance comes up to change, because that is very much what this Mars retrograde is about in Gemini, change. As Mars goes retrograde back, all the other planets will be moving. It's going to change his relationship to some of the slower moving planets and come into aspect with them. And of course, the fast-moving planets like Mercury and Venus and the Moon and the Sun are going to be constantly changing their relationship. In 3 months, a lot can happen. So as I continue to do new moon and full moon readings, I will share what's going on with Mars retro and give the nuanced message that gets revealed over time. I encourage you to look into the Dark Goddess readings, these sessions. It is a program of 2 astrology readings that dive deep into the Dark Goddess of your own chart. We look at the Liliths, we'll look at Mars retro, we'll look at Vesta, Venus, and see where all this energy goes in your chart. And if you are feeling the energy of Mars retrograde in Gemini and you want to know what part of your chart it's most active in, that's a really good thing to know, because that's where the stuff's going to come up. And for me, I'm looking at it, and I happen to know that Gemini is my 7th and 8th house, which is all about relationship, shared resources, which includes money, and communication. Gemini becomes communication. So I feel like I've got an interesting 3 months ahead of me. As I was getting into this Mars retrograde, it took me, like I said at the outset, I didn't quite get it. Partly because I hadn't had time. I was so engrossed in Scorpio and what's going on over there, and some other things in my personal life were keeping me very busy. So this weekend I was on retreat, and in fact the morning that Mars, just a couple of hours before Mars turned to retrograde, I opened my journal and I asked Mars to talk to me, and he happily obliged. And I'm just going to read some of the things that I wrote. It's kind of like a one-page. First of all, October 30th, 2022 was a 1 day. If you add up all the numbers, the 10th month, 30th day, 2022, it comes up to 10. Add the 1 and the 0, and you get 1. So it is a day of beginning. 10 is completion, and when you collapse it into 1, you get the first step all over again. And what that tells us is that every ending has the beginning embedded. We live life in a circle, an Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail, or a Mobius strip, infinite. So with that energy, I said, hey, Mars, clue me in. Today, Mars turns retrograde. It is a good day to change your mind. It is a good day for trance. It is a good day to soften your conditioned reflexes. It is a good day to put down your armor. It is a good day to dispense with strategy. It is a good day to pause the campaign. How many of us feel like we're doing battle all the time? Put down your armor, put down your sword, pause the campaign. It's a good day to lay down your weapons, and it's a good day to tune in to reality. It is a good day to activate your inner strength. It is a good day to consider past actions. It is a good day to face your inner demons. It is a good day to examine the war within yourself. It is a good day to start peace talks. It is a good day to roust the inner traitor and the inner saboteur. It is a good day to open your heart to the wounded masculine. It is a good day to shine a light on barriers to integrity. It is a good day to stop the war. It is a good day to call a truce and start negotiations. It is a good day to start trusting yourself. It is a good day to rest and heal from the wounds of the old battles within yourself, with yourself. Today is a good day to change your mind. And that, my friends, is the essence of Mars retrograde in Gemini, Dark Goddess Style. I'll see you again soon.